As Americans, we cannot allow this to continue. It is time to liberate our communities from this scourge of drug addiction. Never been this way. We can be the generation that ends the opioid epidemic. We can do it.
Joining us now, Howard Samuels and Reef Karim, both addiction treatment specialists who will be directly impacted by the president's announcement. So, Reef, first to you. In general, it seems the administration gets credit for taking this action, but it falls way short simply because there's no money.
Yeah, I'm so deeply concerned about this. I really don't think this administration understands what this problem is or what to do about it. They don't respect the nature of 60,000 people dying in a year. They just don't get it. And so what they're doing is they're underfunding this. It's all talk. It's all bluster. And when you're looking for federal grant money as opposed to natural disaster money, that's a problem. And I'm also concerned about this war on drugs motif, this concept of going back to the old ways of doing things. It looks like more and more our administration is going to go that direction and focus on law and order instead of enhancing treatment, enhancing insurance coverage, doing so many other things that they can do to improve the opioid crisis as opposed to just the same old, same old.
And Howard, to you, I mean, that's the point that's been made by many critics of the president's announcement, that he said lots of great things about intention and about advertising and the like, but he didn't talk about expansion of medical treatment.
Well, exactly, and I have to agree with Reef. I mean, this administration knows nothing about what's going on the front lines. You know, there is, insignificant treatment. The insurance companies are not certain enough inpatient days. The government insurance is only 3 or 4 days of inpatient. I mean, there is no clue as to really how to deal with this. I mean, it's about treatment. And I've said it before, law enforcement and treatment have to go together to put the addicts that are arrested or that are OD'd and come out of it alive in government-sponsored treatment centers run by addicts with certifications for at least a year in order to really turn the tide and help these people.
Hey, well, part of the strategy that the president announced will involve an advertising campaign which will be aimed at young people. That's what he said.
If we can teach young people and people generally not to start, it's really, really easy not to take them. And I think that's going to end up being our most important thing. Really tough, really big, really great advertising. So we get to people before they start, so they don't have to go through the problems of what people are going through.
So, Reef, this is all part of stock and flow. There's the problem of the current stock of opioid users who have the addiction. At the same time, you've got to stop the flow of the next generation of users. That is complicated. That is difficult. It is challenging. It's not impossible. But again, you can't really do that successfully if you don't have the right amount of resources.
I'm sorry, that clip just made me laugh. I mean, just say no. Like, that's essentially what he's saying. I mean, we've played this game. This is a broken record. Enough of the just say no. Enough of, hey, if we have a really good commercial or a really good reality show, maybe the kids won't use drugs. That's crazy. This is all about treatment. All of it is about treatment. It's about giving people Narcan when they get an opiate prescription. It's about building a national registry so we can track abusable medications across state lines from a federal perspective. It's about our relationship to pain, emotional pain and physical pain. It's about tracking pharma companies' distribution of these pills. You know, it's even about cannabis. The fact that opiates and cannabis have similar effects on sleep, anxiety, and pain is something that you can't ignore. And the fact that we're getting closer and closer to cannabis legalization means we need to look really carefully at the effects of CBD oil and cannabis in regards to the opiate crisis. Because by improving our ability to use cannabis in some ways, in regulated ways, we are going to diminish the potential for the opiate crisis.
Howard, I do want to ask you whether you agree with Tom Cotter. He's a former senior official in Obama's Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration Office at Health and Human Services. He said that the one upside of going this route that the president has, of calling this a public health emergency, is that you can marshal public support, and that is important in this fight. How much value do you attach to that?
Oh, I mean, those are words. I mean, it is a joke. I mean, public support, you know, families are having their young ones die on a daily basis. I mean, unfortunately, I know so many dead addicts. I mean, in the last year, I've had 10 people die that I've been associated with. I mean, this is a serious issue. Now, granted, the families have to be educated so they can have the danger signs and the warning signs about what is happening in the family. But it has to be interventions. But you have to understand, look what's happening in America. Marijuana is being legalized in all these states because America wants to get loaded. There is a movement, not towards recovery, but towards getting high legally. And there's a spiritual component. There's something wrong in this country where that is the motivation instead of getting high on life.
Reef, you know, everyone says, oh, this will bring much needed attention to this epidemic. Really? I mean, this was the surprise issue during last year's presidential election campaign. It seems it doesn't need a lot more attention on it, does it?
No, it doesn't need attention from the country when 60,000 people in the country a year are dying from this, and their families are affected and their neighborhoods are affected. What this needs is action. This needs implementation. I would ask Congress to talk to people like myself and Howard and get the scoop on what to do. We know what to do. It's just a matter of getting Congress and getting our president educated enough to really know what he should be doing in this case. I mean, it is crazy how big the chasm is between the people on the front lines that are really doing good work and researching what to do versus our politicians that, in some ways, a lot of them are corrupt in regards to lobbying with the pharmaceutical companies.
I mean, Howard, even if you were to have that one-on-one, that would be you and Reef included, with folks at Health and Human Services, with the president himself, you know, for want of this idea. If you're to have that one-on-one and you guys were to tell them what needs to be done, I mean, do you think they would do it? I mean, is there even the will to do what is the right thing?
No, I don't think they'll do it because they're politicians. Because they won't do the steps, the really difficult steps, in order to build government-funded treatment programs. I mean, think about it. Private insurance in this country, and I've said it before, is only giving 15 to 20 inpatient days. Medicare is only giving 3 to 4 inpatient days. I mean, what that's telling you is somebody who's had an addiction for years is going to get clean in 3 days or 20 days and then have to go home and learn how to do life without drugs and alcohol that they haven't done for years. I mean, it's a joke.
Okay.
It's not a funny one, though. That's the
Obviously,
truth.
Exactly.
People were expecting a lot
Exactly.
more. Many people were expecting a lot more. I guess it still remains to be seen if the president will go back to Congress, will make that request for extra funding.
And how much money he would
Exactly.
get.
And we'll go to the states and how it
Yeah.
be spent. But Reef and Howard, thank you so much.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you.